what impact do you hope to have on your students' lives beyond just riding skills?
Well, I think impacting someone's life from a sport like mountain biking can take on many forms. I say I would like to use the sport as a vehicle for people to learn about why it's important to be more holistic, okay, to have a more well-rounded approach to what you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to be a better rider, you can't just work on the skills. You also need to work on the physical. You also need to work on the mental. You also need to work on understanding your equipment. So we talked about this earlier. When we talk about how we can translate that to life or other aspects of life, we need to talk about addressing the physical, mental, the technical stuff aspects of it. We need to understand why doing something, why it should matter to them and how much do they want it. If you want to be really good at something, you can't just take a stopgap approach like, oh, I'll do this and automatically I have this outcome. Right. Sometimes you don't get a short-term or instant gratification based outcome. Sometimes the outcome that you're seeking requires a more long-term approach. So as a coach or as an instructor turning into a coach, I'm able to persuade people to say that, hey, you really want to take a long-term view to what you're doing as a rider. I know you want to race this race. I know you want to do this, but it's going to take a while. I think most people have a short-term view on what they want to achieve in life, when actually what they should be doing is taking a long-term view. I can share a very good example with this, right? Like if I want to teach somebody how to do a pedaling front wheel lift, that means pedal the bike strongly and then the front wheel comes off the ground. Okay. Versus doing a wheelie, which is like the same thing, but keeping the wheel up in the air for a sustained amount of time. I think if you teach like a novice or even intermediate rider on how to do a pedaling wheel lift, I can instruct them to do it within like 30 minutes. Easily in a car park, no problem at all. Yeah, they can just do pedaling wheel lift. They can lift the wheel over curbs and logs and stuff. I often get a lot of requests on how to do pedaling wheel lift. Wilson, I want to learn how to go over this log. I want to go over this curb. I say, yeah, sure, that's what you do. But then sometimes I get requests like, Wilson, I want to learn how to do a wheelie. Now it's not a 30-minute job. Now you might take 6 months to learn how to do a wheelie, because a wheelie is so much more demanding. It's such a more advanced maneuver that you need to pull off. And I can teach you the basics, the techniques required to do a wheelie, but then you still have to go and do the practice. You still got to do the mileage, and you're not even going to get it in the first half. You're definitely not going to get it in the first half an hour. You may not even get it in the first half of the day. You might not even get it in the first month. I would say that you need to go and keep doing this and really applying yourself, getting the mileage done. And I think that's what separates understanding what a short-term approach is versus a long-term approach. In that, in a long-term approach, and what I want to I want to impart on my students for a long-term approach is they really need to have determination to see themselves through to what they want. They need to have resilience and not giving up so easily. And I think that applies, of course, to other parts of life. Right? If you want something that's cool, right? Well, I want to do a wheelie. I want to look cool in front of the opposite gender or whatever it is. I want to impress my friends. So you have to do the work. You have to make it count. And a lot of the practice is done away from people. A lot of practice is done by yourself in silence, away from the attention and away from the accolades. And I think that tells more broadly of how people should approach what they want to achieve in terms of success. A lot of the success building is done in anonymity and in silence.